Well, hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Harebrained Games. Today we're going to talk about Fliptown. This is a flip and write game for 1 to 4 people. It's flippin' awesome or flippin' lame. We don't know yet because I haven't told you. So let's just get in and take a look at it. All right, let's take a look at what comes inside Fliptown. We'll start off by flipping the town. All right, you get a variety of goodies in this square little box. You get Fliptown the manual. You'll notice they saved a lot on ink because they only use about 3 colors. Kidding. But you get the nice stylish example of what's going on. Everything's pretty well laid out, to be honest. Everything you need to know is in this little packet here, so good on them. Also, you're going to get a deck of cards, and these cards are your standard 52 card deck with a couple jokers. Joker, joker, joker. There we go. So you can see here, if I flip it over, I did not lie. You've got all of the standard suits to suit your needs. And ace through king, partner. And you get that. You also get 4 pens. Yeah, that's right. These are dry erase markers. They seem to have worked well so far. Then everyone's going to get a placard. This is a... Look at that. There you go. And this looks overwhelming, and it will start off as overwhelming. There is a lot to think about here. In this here Fliptown, there's not enough room for the both of us, but there is enough room for 1 to 4 players, so c'est la vie. You've got your areas of influence, how things work, which we'll go over when I do the playthrough. But other than that, everybody gets 4 of those. And finally, as a little extra bonus, when you're playing with multiple players, there's the opportunity to have bounty cards. And these bounty cards will be things that people will be trying to grapple over during the course of play. These are common. You'll pick 3 of these common bounties. Then you're also going to have opportunities to play as a character. So you've got different styles that'll kind of customize yourself. And then if you're going to play solo, these are the Westbots, the Cowbots. And these will give you a bit of a challenge as well beyond the normal standard rules. And that's what comes in the box. Let's see how the game plays. Alright, how do you play Fliptown? Well, we'll begin by saying the object of the game. The object of the game is to win. How do you win? You are the person with the most stars at the end of the game. There's a certain variety of earning stars. Some as simple as, hey, gain stars, up to, hey, for extra gold, extra money, extra silver stars, etc. At the end of the game, you're going to want to have the most stars. You're going to play 15 turns over 3 rounds. That's how the game goes. During that time, you're going to be doing an action with 3 different cards to go to 3 different areas. Let's go over the 3 areas. First off, you have the hearts area, and the hearts area here basically is a trail. You're going to go along this trail. You're going to get goodies as you progress along that you may want. In the Badlands, you're going to take risks. This is where you're going to try to steal a chicken, steal a cow, rob a stagecoach, and rob a train, all with different levels of risk and reward. Then and that's the spades. In the diamonds, well, makes sense, diamond mines, you're going to have an opportunity to go down the mountains deeper into the mines. You're going to have to go sequentially. You can't just pick wherever you want. You have to start one of these places and then go down, etc. And you're going to get gold, you're going to get stars, you're going to get opportunities galore. Then we have the spades, so the clubs. Clubs, which makes sense, is where you go to town, and this is a whole different section. Every single one of these buildings is uniquely different. You're going to want to read up on those before you play for the first time. But you're going to get a lot of opportunities to do all kinds of different things that will help you in all the other ways. And finally, if you hate everybody and everything about a particular turn, well, go to the cemetery. Do some grave digging. Grave digging is an opportunity to get some freebies, to get some free goods and services that you can use to buy. You can use gold for things. You can use money for things, regular cash. It just goes on and on. And be careful of the wanted stickers, because the more wanted signs that you've circled, the more wanted you are. And every round at the end, the sheriff is going to basically do some arresting. He's going to find his way out there and take care of those varmints doing doggone dumb bad things. Anyway, let's go. Let's get into a turn. So, round one, the first thing you're going to do, and I'm going to play solo, but the reality is everyone plays solo in this game with the exception of, in a multiplayer game, you'd put 3 of these here, and these are just extra challenges that if you get them before anyone else, in a round, then you'll get 7 points, if not, and then other people can do it and get 4 points later. But ultimately, that's really about the only thing you're going to do differently between solo and multiplayer. So we have 3 cards. We have the Jack of Spades, we have the 7 of Diamonds, and we have the 8 of Clubs. Now you're going to decide what to do with these. Each of these cards is going to be designated to a certain location. You can use the card for the suit, or you can use a card for its value, or you can use it for the poker hand that you're going to generate over the first round. So what are you going to do? Well, here's your options. For example, say that I decided that I wanted to go visit town. Well, I'm going to use my 8 of Clubs to go to town. Now what? Well, I've got all of these cards, 7. I've got the 7 and the Jack. I'm going to go 7. Okay, if I use the 7 for my value card, I'm going to go here. I can pay 2 money, and that's going to give me 2 end of the game points. Okay, that's pretty simple. Some of these places you revisit the mines. Anything you do over here, you only do once. If you try to rob a chicken here, that's it. You can't do that again. You can only rob other areas. And here, everything is exclusive. Here, you can go back and use these buildings multiple times for their bonuses. And again, each one has a little bit of a mini rule set to go along with. All right, so say I was to do that. Well, that's cool, except I don't have any cash. I'm not going to worry about that. What if I did the Jack, though, as the value card? Well, Jack says that I can peek at the sheriff card. Every round I have to put a sheriff card, and nobody gets to see it. You'll see why later. I get to choose to peek at the sheriff card, and then I choose either to get a victory point or to get rid of 2 wanteds. Now, that's pretty powerful for me, so I'm going to do that. So what I do is I don't need to really cross it off. I can just kind of note that I've been there. This one, you can just repurpose. You'll notice in other places when you visit, like you do the first thing, then you do the second thing based on how many times you're visiting. Some of these have multiple different tiers of bonuses that you get. In this case, we're going to do that. So I've used up my 8. I've used up my Jack. I'm going to get a star. I'm already ahead of myself in the game. I don't have any wanted stickers. I'm not saying this is a great idea. But there you go. And then I can peek at the sheriff card. Okay, that tells me very important information. In a real game, that would be good. And not only that, but the first time you visit any of these buildings, you can do a free action somewhere else. Note that this lets me go over to the mines and actually do mining. And here's the thing. I can use, when you get these free actions, you get to pick the value. In other words, if I went to, for example, if this was the Badlands, I could literally try and rob the train right now. I could do that. And in the normal rounds, you're limited to the cards you play, but in the free bonuses, no. So I'm going to go here. I'm going to do this. And I'm going to get this. I'm going to circle this, and I'm going to give myself a gold. So these are persistent ways to earn money over each round. So you like to go to the mines pretty early on because each round, and there's only 3 of them in the game, you're going to get some extra bonuses. It never hurts. All right, so I'm done. And finally, my 7 is going to go here, 7 of Diamonds, and that is the first card in my 5-card hand, and that is the end of the turn. All right, so we good. So now we're going to do the same thing. We're going to ditch those, and we're going to grab 3 more cards. Well, we've got the King of Hearts, we've got the 8 of Diamonds, and we've got the Ace of Hearts. So let's go over that. That's a good time for the trail. I can use my you know what, I like this. I'm going to use this for my 8 of Diamonds. Maybe I'll get a flush. If I get a flush, that's worth some points. I mean, all right, so we're going to use that for the poker card. Then we're going to use this for the suit cards. Now I'm going to use my ace for the suit. Why am I going to do that? Well, I'll tell you why. Because if I use the ace for the suit, it is the low card. The way the trail works is you use the card for the suit, and then the other value tells you how far along the trail you can go to get the bonus. But the reality is you can never go backwards. So if I chose the king as my value, and I wanted to use all the way up to the king, I could do that. I would get 6 points and 3 wanted, but I would have to cross out everything all the way up there. I would literally waste any opportunity to get some of these benefits too. So we're going to do that. So instead, I'm going to use the ace for the for the, but if I did it the other way and said, oh, I'm going to use the king as my heart for the, just to trigger this section, and then the ace, well, then I only have one choice, and this is all I'm going to do. In this case, not a big deal. It works out either way. And finally, you know what? It doesn't really matter because I'm going to do that either way I use these cards, it's going to be the same. I'm going to circle this, and I'm going to get 2 more wanted stars. Now, if I didn't, what if I did want to switch out? What if I said, you know what, I'm going to use the ace for the heart, but I want the king. What if I wanted to go here instead? Because I'm like, I don't really need 2 points now. I'd rather have that. Well, then instead, I could go, okay, I'm going to use my ace just to trigger the trail, but then the king says I can go all the way up to the king, but I can stop at any point, and I decide, you know what, I'm going to skip this and go here instead. And that's going to give me gold at the end of every turn. And some more prospecting. So look at that. So that's how we're going. We've done our 3 cards and we're already there. I'm going to go ahead and fast forward to a little bit farther along. No, I lied. I'm going to actually keep going and show you, see if I can trigger some other things. Good, spades. Spades work. Okay, we're going to ditch that. So we got the jack, the queen, and the king. So right now, I want to go to the Badlands. So I'm going to use my suit to go visit the Badlands. Now I decide, do I want the jack or the queen? The jack or the queen says either I try to rob this stagecoach or this train or that train. I'm going to try and rob this train, and I'm trying to rob it. If you succeed or fail, you still used up that opportunity. So I have a jack. The only way that I'm going to successfully do this is if I draw a card, and my card is either a jack, a queen, or a king, a jack or greater. It is not. Dang it, I have lost. What does that mean? Well, I have to take all the wanted, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, and I only get half of the stars. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And I don't get the coins. Had I succeeded, I would have gotten the 4 wanted no matter what, but I would have gotten 8 victory points and 3 cash. So you see how risk and reward playing a part. So I've used up my 5. I've used up my, and now I'm going to use the queen of diamonds. Now see, I'm on my way to a flush. Hopefully that works out. All right. So you ask yourself, you're playing along, you're doing these things, and again, this is tiny, not indicative. Oh, ooh, look at that. So my plan is to use the 4. Like I could go to the mines again, but I think I'm better off doing the 4 of, I'm really hoping to get that that flush, because that flush is $9 and 8 victory points, which would come in real handy since I'm a little low on cash. So that's my poker card. What if I decide I don't want to do any of these? What if I decide I really, like if I choose this, then I'm going to the town, but the 8 says I have to spend money, which I don't have to live. I don't like any of these. So what do? I go to the cemetery. You can always at any point just use any suit and value, ditch it to circle one of the non-circled cemetery spots. Why? I'll tell you. First off, you're grave digging, so every time you do this, you're taking a wanted. See how it grows like that? And then wherever you're in the middle of, whatever you connect to that you haven't taken yet, you get. So example, if I was here or here, I would get all of these bonuses that intersect these circles. And so right now, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to get 4 coins, because I like the 4 cash. And then later on, say I circled this, well, I'm going to get a free diamond action, etc. in the cemetery. But you always have a wanted sign unless you go visit the Undertaker. And then the first time you visit, you can have a special ability that lets you ignore the wanted in there, and then the Undertaker will be like, yeah, you didn't do nothing. I see nothing. I see nothing. Nothing. And there you go. And so I have just done another thing for myself. And then we're going to do the last. Yeah, let's go ahead and finish. Oh, this sucks. You know why it sucks? Because I didn't get the diamond. That is stinky. And so that's a bummer. That's a big bummer. So I'm going to have a crummy poker hand. So I lost out. It was a risk, but again, it didn't pan out. Let's say, anyway. All right, so now we're down to this. So we have these opportunities. What it's going to be my poker, what's not. So I basically can either go to the Badlands and do something dastardly, or I can go to town and I could either do the Undertaker, or I could get a pistol that will help me out in the Badlands. So let's do that. Say I use the jack. That's going to give me, I get to go to town. I'm going to use the 9, as the value, which says the first time there I can pay 3 coins, and I'm going to get the pistol, which means that anytime I do stagecoach any robbering here, I'm going to get a +2 bonus to that card I pull. So the pistol is going to make it a lot harder for a lot easier for me to be able to pull off some heists. And then finally we have the ace of diamonds. All right, and we're done, and that is the end of the round. We've taken our 5 turns. Everything's great. Now we resolve the poker hand. I got nothing, which stinks. But even if I'd gotten a pair, I would have gotten something. But I took a risk, and it didn't work out. You pan and work, so I get a gold for every one of these circled again. And I get 2, 4. So I get 1, 2, 3, 4. So now I'm back up to 5 cash. And then it's time to do the sheriff. Now, the sheriff isn't exactly, good old Marshal Bill, who is honest to a fault. If you want to, before the sheriff reveals himself, you may pay a gold for every wanted that you have to have him look away this round. You don't get to get rid of the wanted ones. You just have him look away this round. Well, I only have 2 gold and wanted, so I don't have that. And what happens? It's a 2. I pull it, and if this card is greater than or equal to the amount of wanted posters, we're safe. But it's not. It's less. And that means that I have to take either a $10 penalty or lose 4 stars. Well, I'm going to lose 4 stars. Boo! So things didn't go well for me, but that was just round 1, and I'm playing against myself, and so I think that I might be able to pull out an unlikely victory from myself if I just look away. Maybe I can bribe myself with gold and win. Anyway, but that's the end of a round, and you do that 3 times, and then at the end you're going to count up your points for all your stars you have, any stars that you have that are silver, different kind of buy. Every 2 gold you get a point, and every $4 you get a point. You add it up and you see who wins. That is the most basic and simple explanation. Again, there's a ton of stuff in here. I've done a little buildings and all that going on. A lot of variety. And again, if you're playing multiple players, you have bounties to worry about. Like if you can collect at least 9 in the mine, then you're going to get this bounty, and that's pretty cool. Or, circle at least 4 sites in every region. That's cool too. And again, if you're playing solo, you can also go in and play against Billy. These have special abilities that when you activate them, they steal cards, which is kind of cool. Billy the Kid, if you gain any this turn. Yeah. And so there's a lot of variety to this game. But that's it. Let's get into my final thoughts on Fliptown. Okay, final thoughts on Fliptown. 1 to 4 player game. Flipping and writing and rootin' and tootin'. All right. As always, we go into the cons first, followed by the pros, followed by my final thoughts. As for the cons, there are 3 particular things that I want to note, only one of which is broad scale effective. One, because of the really nice 2-tone coloring, and which basically takes to, the color palette on this is insanely evocative. But that's not a con. The con is that the board is very, very small. And as anyone who has these and has had to redo the prescription on a regular basis, it is very difficult to see. And that is going to affect the more, people whose eyes aren't as good, people who are older. I can tell you this, we've tried this, that is the thing that has carried critical weight in the groups that I played with. If you're young and you're 2020, you'll be fine. If not, you'll find it maybe a little tricky to read because the board, as quality as it is from a component basis, is hard to read despite the great iconography and no complaints about the layout, just about the size of squishing things down. So that is something to keep in mind. We ended up, for a couple guys, they just took their glasses off and were just hunched over, reading everything. And then we ended up getting the magnifying glasses from Macro Crime City that we use and using those. But honestly, be aware of that if you buy this and you don't have the best device, this may be problematic. The other thing is the felt pens. Because it's so small, the pens are good quality. They haven't dried out yet. They seem fine, perfectly serviceable, but the thick tips of the pens does make it for a lot of splotching and a lot of, unless you are just absolutely slowly, turtle agonizingly slow, marking down, like, is that a queen or an 8 or a 6? on, it's just, I forget. I mean, when you're blocking stuff out, circling stuff, not so bad, but writing stuff in, it didn't work well. So both of those I solved in one. I ordered the print and play version of this game for $5. It was very nominal. And then I ordered them to be printed out in larger sheets. So I'm going to get large sheets and laminate them almost placeholder setting. This is going to simplify when I bring it out for audiences. It'll be like, hey, just use this big sheet. I'll get it colored. It'll be great. But that's a little extra cost I'm going to put into it because the game's worth it. The other thing is for the markers, I ordered thin, very like fine tip dry erase markers from Amazon. They're about $5, and those work a lot better. So anyway, and the other thing to mention is that if this really epitomizes multiplayer solitaire. There's a very thin connection between you and the other people at the table playing. You will share the results of the card draw, but then you will go off and do your own thing. You will share the bounty cards, and no, there's some point swings there, 7-4-0. But in general, you're not playing this. This is not a game that's going to evoke, gunfights and shootouts and, cattle robbing and all that. That's all going to happen for you personally in your own private town. And so if you want something more akin to like that gun spaghetti western violence, I would recommend Western Legends as a better, for interaction, or Revolver for 2 players, or Doomtown. This is not it. So those are the 3 things that I think are cons. Let's get into the pros. The art is wonderful. It is really, really cool to take that tone, in the minimal set of orange and yellow, orange and basically cream, to make an art style like this is awesome. And the boards, small as they may be, are very well done. Everything is very logically arranged. It's drawn, the background art that serves the 5 different sections of the game works well. Everything is clear. The iconography is consistent. That's just fine. I have no issues with that whatsoever. The big thing here, the 4 sections that you're dealing with that match the 4 suits of a card, brilliant. Just absolutely brilliant. You got your easy trail going along the trail, and that seems like the fun. That's sort of the little bits and pieces of candy that you're following along. It's a really nice just kind of flow. But then you've got these other sections. You've got the mines, and that makes perfect sense too. That's where you build out the economic engine to fuel other things going on, which is great. You've got that tier, kind of like you go deeper into the mines, it's riskier, but the reward is greater. That's brilliant. And then you've got the Deadland, or the Badlands, that's where the risk comes in. That's really specific risk. I want to mitigate as much risk as I can. I'll do my best. Sometimes it doesn't go my way. Much of the time it probably will. You're going to get something out of robbing something, but you might just end up with more wanted posters than you do actual benefits. You don't know. But then you go to the other brilliant section, which is the town. And the town is not abstract. That's the thing that separates us from a lot of the other rule and rights, is that the abstraction level is not so like obvious that you really feel you're just checking in boxes and accumulators, something I've always hated about rolling rights and flipping rights. In this game, you go to town, but you've got 13 different things to do. And each of these cards that you're matching up with can do something different, and they all have really valuable, really interesting, game-changing ways that they can affect you and steer you a little bit towards a given strategy, but not necessarily. It's just absolutely wonderful. And then the graveyard. The graveyard is a fantastic thing to go, nothing else is working. I'm still going to get something out of this hand. I'm not going to bother over here because I could get this valuable thing here at the risk of, again, if you're digging a grave in the middle of the night, they kind of frown on that. And so you got that. Then you have at the end of every round, you have the sheriff risk. And that means that you're not just wildly going out, I don't care how many wanted posters I get. Yes, you do. Because if you wind up if the sheriff in cards don't align, and the sheriff's card that he flips that you don't know about doesn't match up, you're going to take a hit, and it's a big hit. It's a game changer hit. It was in a couple of our games a game changer hit. One saving grace was that everybody lost, and so everybody had to take a hit. But if you survive and they don't, well, you know what? Maybe it was. Maybe you should have bribed with gold. And that's the other thing. The currencies here are very interesting. You use the money to buy stuff, to buy things in town to help you out with the other places, or to heck, you can even trade money for victory point or star points. But then the gold, it's valuable in different ways because you can change a suit to suit yourself in a different way. When you really like, I really to really nail this strategy to the fullest, I need to trade this gold to change that suit to that number so I can change that, because that's the thing that gold does. Beyond, it's worth victory points, but it's also worth, it could be a game changer and all that. And then the other thing is that it gives you limit, like a nice selection of choices. You don't have so little choices that it's like very obvious, this is what I'm going to do. Oh, that I flip a card, okay, draw a polygon here, polynomial here, there, yeah, okay, there you go, a couple points, I'm sure, yay. Or on the other side, you've got these games that literally lay out like a conveyor belt of just check boxes, and you feel like it's going to be this big epic journey, but then you have no idea there's so many things you could do. This is a sweet spot because you have 3 cards, and you get to choose the destiny of every single one of those 3 cards in a combination that you think affords you the best chance to win. So yeah, you're going to have to build a poker hand over 5 rounds, and you saw the risk and reward in that. You saw that I tried to get that flush and failed, and it ended up being a flush all right, but not the way I wanted. And so I ended up with a measly nothing. And then I if that doesn't work, then then maybe you switch the cards around and go, well, maybe I'll just use this card to go down the trail and get some points, some expected points, and then you're fine with that. So that's the cool part. I mean, that's the cool part of this game, is that you have risk and reward in very impacting ways. You will take a risk in the Badlands. You might not work out, or it might. You will take a risk on your poker card. It might or might not work out. You will take these risks over the course of these rounds, and you will feel like you're building out your special town, that you're building up and doing things, taking the risks, the rewards. It does feel great. So in closing, anyone who knows this channel knows that I have not been a big fan of roll and writes. I appreciate them. I see the value they have in board game. I've never found one that I've loved. I've found ones that I've liked. I've even found ones that I've liked. This is amusing. I would play this again. Castles Burgundy, the dice game, for example, and maybe a couple others. But even the great ones, the ones that are heavily touted, are ones that I'm like, I just feel like I'm accumulating a box that triggers me to accumulate other boxes, that triggers me to accumulate. And I just don't feel that sense of like, wow, this is cool. This is edge of your pants. Fliptown does that. Fliptown is the first flip and write, roll and write that I actually love. I enjoy it. It's still on the desk. I'm playing it. I highly recommend it. 8 out of 10. Thanks again, everyone, and we'll see you next time on Higher Brain Games.